Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about reaching out to people about Plexus. This is what you'll often hear us refer to as cold messaging, because we're talking about people here who have not previously expressed interest to you in the products. I can promise you that your Plexus business will not grow if you wait for people to come to you. I have certainly had some people come to me out of the woodwork based off something I've posted on Facebook, but it is certainly the exception and not the rule. And I would say at least 90 to 95% of my Plexus business has been grown through cold messaging on Facebook. It is a little scary at first. It feels like it's a little bit out of your comfort zone, but if you'll just do it, you'll realize that, one, that fear really has no power over you, and it will get easier over time. So what I want to cover today is some tips for how to do this and the expectations you should have to kind of make this an easier process for yourself, and so that it feels a little less intimidating. All right, let's talk first. What is the point of the first cold message you send to someone? Is it to get them to sign up for Plexus right away? No, it really isn't. Maybe that'll happen every once in a while, but again, we're talking exception and not the rule. In my opinion, the point of that first message you send someone is to get them to see and pay attention to what you're posting on Facebook. Our news feeds are very busy. A lot of us have a lot of friends on there. And Facebook's algorithm is selective about what it shows us. So when you message someone to Facebook that's saying, I'm better friends with them than the average Joe over here. And the Facebook algorithm is going to show that person more of your posts. So that's number one. By sending them a private message, you're telling Facebook, show them what I'm posting. And two, even if they kind of, want to blow off that post, it is going to subliminally trigger them to just kind of pay attention to what you're saying, because you've reached out to them, mentioned Plexus, and now when you post about Plexus, they might be kind of dismissive at first, but they're going to pay attention, and that will help them eventually come around and want to come to you with whatever questions they have about Plexus. Okay, so that's the point of that first cold message. So I want you to, when you make these messages, detach yourself from the expectation that it's going to turn into something right away. Detach yourself from the expectation that they're even going to respond right away. So don't sit there and stare at your messenger after you send the message, waiting for that little bubble to show that they've read it. Just go ahead and just send it and don't pay attention to it again until it's time to follow up, which we'll discuss tomorrow. But if you can just go ahead and detach from that expectation that it's going to turn into something right away, you won't torture yourself over the results there immediately. Okay? Bear with me while I look at my notes over here. Let's think of this like a garden. Think of your Plexus business like a garden, and you're planting seeds every day. So you're planting seeds with the people that you're reaching out to. You're planting seeds with the stuff you're posting on Facebook. If you plant those seeds, they might not sprout up right away, but you cannot get anything out of that. You cannot get a harvest if you don't plant the seeds first. So don't come at it with this expectation that I'm going to do this and I'm going to get a result out of it right away. You've got to be willing to kind of plant it and work it and follow up with people, and that will eventually turn into a lot of growth for your Plexus business. But it has to start here, and think of it in those terms. Don't expect it to bloom into this garden just overnight on the first message. On average, you'll hear people say that it takes anywhere from 10 to 20 new contacts to get one join for your Plexus team. You might have better odds than that at first because you're dealing with people who are closer into your sphere of influence. Once you move through those people, you're going to be dealing with a little bit less warm of a market. And so you might need to work at it a little bit more. It might take more new contacts to create those joins the further out that you get. So what we're going to start with is I want you to make a list. I want you to make a list of 24 people that you're going to reach out to over the next 8 days. And we're going to go through 3 a day. And I want you to start with those who are closest in to your sphere of influence. This might be your mom, your sister, your best friend, those people that you're in contact with on a daily basis, people that trust you and will take you at your word. So these are the people that you can message or call and say, hey, Mom, I'm starting these Plexus supplements and I've heard amazing things about this. You need to do it with me. Okay? And they'll take you at your word. And you might need to share some information with them or whatever. But everyone has those people in their lives that they can just say, hey, do this with me. And those people will say yes. So think about who those people are for you. They are the most likely to get you to silver this month. So go ahead and reach out to them and work on, bringing them around to want to do this with you. Show your excitement, show your passion with those people. And we'll get into wording here in a minute. After that, you're going to work out to, people, you'll often hear us refer to a Frank's list. So we're talking friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, your kids' connections, so your kids, friends, moms, their coaches, their teachers, and strangers. Strangers are the scariest one for a lot of people. And you think about it, and you're like, why? You don't know these people. What difference is it going to make to you if they, are dismissive about Plexus? But it gets you engaged in talking with people about it. It's good practice. And I have signed up an Uber driver that I was able to talk to about Plexus when I was at Leaders Retreat last year. So don't start with those people. Start with those who are closest into your sphere of influence. But think about those groups of people and who you might be able to share Plexus with. It might be because they need the products. It might be because they'd be awesome at the business. And I say, don't be afraid to tell people that. If you message someone and said, hey, I know we haven't talked in a little while, but I started this Plexus. I know you're really into health and fitness, and you would be amazing at this. You have such a positive presence on social media. I love following you. Would you be willing to talk with me about maybe looking at some information on this? People are receptive to being told how great they are. Okay, so if you'll just put it out there, worst case scenario, they say no, and but you've complimented someone and made them feel kind of good about themselves. But what it will also do is just keep them engaged, keep them thinking about it, because when they see you post about Plexus, in the back of their mind, they're going to be thinking, I could do that and I'd be good at it. So don't be afraid to tell people if they'd be good at the business, that they would be good at the business, because people are really receptive to being told. To being complimented, okay? We all are. All right, so we've got our list in place. Let's talk about what you're going to say to people when you reach out. The most important tips I can give you are just to be genuine, be relational, and show that you care about people. If you make this about you, and this is about you and growing your list and getting you to silver and getting you new joins and you a bonus, people can tell. So you will not go far in your Plexus business if you don't genuinely care about other people. And if you don't genuinely care that they can see success with their health, that they can see success and more freedom in their finances, if you'll come at it from a place of genuinely caring, people are more receptive. They're more likely to let their guard down. Even if it's not initially, they will over time. So just come at it from that place. And that way, even if they say no, you can kind of rest easy knowing that you came at it from a good place, and they'll eventually be able to see that through the activity that you're putting out there with Plexus. Okay, so be genuine, be relational, show that you care. Your message that you send to them is going to vary depending on what your relationship with them is. So let's say that, it's a friend from college that you haven't maybe talked to in just a little while. You can say, hey, Katie, I hope you and your family are doing well. We haven't caught up in a little bit. I'd love to know what's going on with you guys. You've just been on my mind lately, and I just felt like I needed to send you a message. You might have seen a few of my posts, but I've been on a health journey this year. I was really frustrated with XYZ, and I tried Plexus, and it has helped me so much. And I really just want to be a resource to other moms that might be struggling in the same way I was. If I were to send you some information about it, would you care to take a look? That phrasing, that if I will you, is a great way to end your messages, because the way that frames it is more likely to trigger a response than we're kind of conditioned to not want to say no to something that's phrased quite like that. So if I send you some information, would you be willing to take a look and we can chat about it? All right. That's how I would recommend finishing off your messages. Another thing I'll do sometimes, if it's really someone I haven't talked to in a while, I'll send them an initial message and try to get a conversation going and not mention Plexus initially. So I might say, hey, Sarah, how are you? How are you guys adjusting to being a family of 5? So if it's another mom that maybe just had a baby, I'll just reach out and ask how things are going. I'll say, I'll get a discussion going, and I might not mention Plexus until like 3, 4, 5 messages in. And that's not being not being disingenuous. It's just getting a conversation going, showing that I care about them and what's going on with them more than I do about Plexus. And if I don't feel like the door's quite open at that time to mention it, I might just back off and come back to it in a couple weeks. So that's perfectly fine as well. But at least I've started planting a seed by just getting the conversation going. And then I'll try to, like on her posts and comment on things and just show that I'm genuinely interested in what's going on with her and her family. before I reach out to her and say specifically, are you interested in Plexus? So I've gotten some good results with that recently. And then if it's someone who's liked and commented on your post, something short and sweet, just like, hey, Andrea, I saw that you liked my post today about Plexus helping with my sleep. If I sent you sorry, wrong place in my notes. Are you familiar with Plexus? Have you ever tried it? That's really all you have to ask. End it with a question, something that's not, just a short answer. So they might say, yeah, I've heard a little about it, but I haven't tried it. And then that's your cue to kind of feed them more information. And that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, is how to follow up and how to share Plexus with people. So they've said, yeah, I'm interested. Now what? So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But that's how I would recommend phrasing your messages. Moving on, how do you handle it when someone says no? No one likes to hear no, and that's not fun. I would say it's probably the least fun part about doing Plexus, but everyone hears it, and you'll hear it said that the diamonds are just the ones that have heard no the most. So you cannot get really far with Plexus, no matter what your goals are. If your goals are just to get your products paid for, or your goal is to get to diamond, you won't go far without hearing no at least a couple times. And that is fine. It's not a bad thing. And no, all that really means is not now. And I have so many people on my team that told me no the first time around. And there are people at the top of Plexus, Celeste Gwynn, top ambassador in Plexus, top earner, told her sponsor Jen no, I think 8 or 9 times. Okay, so don't be afraid of no's. It just means either not now, I don't have the information I need to make a decision, or now's not a good time for me. And we've all been at places in our life like that. So don't treat it as a closed door. Be gracious. Leave the door open so that when it is a good time, they feel comfortable with you. So show your respect what they're saying. If they have misinformation about it, correct that graciously. So if they say, oh, I'm not interested, I think that, I don't really believe in supplements. Just say, okay, I totally get where you're coming from. I was the same way. I really just didn't realize what a huge deal gut health and blood sugar balance was. And I was not getting where I was not able to overcome these things in my health without focusing on that. So if I can ever be a resource to you, please feel free to reach out. It respects their no. It's not pushy, but you're kind of gently correcting why someone might need to try this, even if they're healthy, they, have a healthy diet, exercise, things like that. So go ahead and correct that information graciously, and then just offer yourself out there. Okay, so we'll talk about following up with these kind of things later. But don't be afraid of no, and don't be afraid of non-responses. A non-response is not a no. It's just a non-answer. They're either busy and they meant to respond to you and they didn't. They're still collecting information. They're watching you. They want to see what you're posting, see what Plexus is about. They want to see if you're serious about this and if this is something they can trust you on. So those ones we'll talk about following up with tomorrow. But don't get caught up in the expectation that this is going to turn into 24 joins in the next couple weeks. Be willing to plant those seeds. Be willing to work with people. Be relational. Be genuine. And we'll talk about follow-up tomorrow. Because what we say is the fortune is in the follow-up. And that couldn't be more true when it comes to Plexus. So I'm going to give you a couple examples here in the notes about different ways to cold message people. And we're going to start by making our list today and reaching out to 3 people. All right. Good luck, guys.